Final topic. New trailer for a Fox TV show about the X-Men, produced by Bryan Singer, the father of X-Men in the movie, if you want to call it cinematic universe. I hate.
Is this the project he was talking about doing?
Yeah, this is the one. Because now I'm getting confused because there's how many? There's okay,
New
so
Mutants,
there's New Mutants.
X-Force.
There's yeah, but that's a little bit further out. But because New Mutants has been announced, which is that a movie or TV show? It's a movie,
so
right?
It's a TV show, but the first 2 episodes are going to air in the movie theater.
Oh, okay. That's New Mutants.
That's New Mutants.
So and that's not Bryan Singer, right?
I don't know.
The only one I know Bryan Singer is behind is this one. He's produced this one, who we all know Bryan Singer is kind of the father of X-Men for live action, who's usually done it better than everybody else out there. But then there's also, what was the show that we just saw on FX? What was that mutant one there that we just watched? With where they're in the mental institution?
Oh, Legion?
Legion.
Okay.
But these are all in different universes, apparently. Which I don't.
No, this one seems. No, I think this one's in the same as X-Men.
This one looks like it could be. We don't have that like official, but it looks like it. They do talk about X-Men gone. Yeah. What do we even know? What timeline this one takes place in?
I don't know, because even the X-Men movies have like 2 or 3 different timelines.
It's getting so convoluted, which I guess, makes
different
it so
continuities.
you can just do whatever you want to do, which, I guess when you think about the comics, they're kind of all over the place too.
Yeah.
Every time I hear about a new show coming out, because first there was Legion, I watched that and I'm like, okay, this actually is pretty good. Then there was, now there's this one. Then there's going to be New Mutants. This
is Fox though, right? This is Fox, not FX.
Yeah, but which are both owned by Fox, right? Fox.
Yeah, obviously.
Right? Yeah,
obviously. But I think there's more rope given to FX shows since it's a cable network.
Being edgy, right? But every time I hear about another show, you start to feel that sense of saturation really come in there. But I tell you what, after watching this trailer, this really felt like Bryan Singer X-Men all over again, start from scratch, even though it exists, because you get that whole thing of running from. I thought that was so cool. The dad was actually in charge of rounding up mutants, and then he finds out his kids are. That's awesome. This looks great.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this?
No, same thing. I mean, it's like the potential that this has is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. I mean, you got a dad who's in the know, not because he was on their side, but because he was against them until he found out his own children had it, right? Mm-hmm. So you can tie in this aspect that he knows the mutants already, whether they know him or not. He knows who to trust, who to protect. It can even run into that gambit of he thinks he can trust this person within the organization, but turns out he can't. I love the father fighting for it aspect. Mm-hmm. One of the movies that I liked when I was a kid, and this is before mutant movies really came out, was Stephen King's Carrie.
Yeah,
that's
Drew what Barrymore. I kept thinking about in the school scene.
Exactly, and I'm like between Carrie and Firestarter. You remember Firestarter?
I never saw Firestarter.
Stephen King. Mm-hmm. Carrie had Sissy Spacek. Firestarter had Drew Barrymore. Mm-hmm. But both of them, Carrie was just twisted because her mom was all fucked up. But the one I was thinking of was actually Firestarter, which Drew Barrymore could make fire. Mm-hmm. She pretty much, was a mutant if it was classified today, like if the movie came out today. But I loved that movie as a kid. And it reminded me of those movies where the parents have one opinion, but then start fighting for their children. And the fact that he has resources he can use, I think you can at least get through a good season.
Yeah. And you know what? Having Bryan Singer behind the helm gives me a lot more faith in it to begin with. Obviously, he's not going to be directing every episode. It's like J.J. Abrams. He did the pilot for Lost, and then everybody would ask him about the show for like how many seasons it aired. And he's like, I don't know. I just did the pilot. I had no other involvement after that. But Bryan Singer really loves the X-Men. He's kind of a comic book nerd, and he did such a great job, especially with the first 2 X-Men. And this definitely has the same tones that you feel in this. Do you know who any of these kid mutants are? Like, I'm not familiar with.
I think it might be an original story.
Really? That's great.
I mean, it's as far as I don't know any names yet. Yeah, and the fact it's an original story is great. And I like the fact that you're going back to the discovery of their powers and people's reaction to that.
Right.
That's one of the things I think that the movies have missed big time, with the exception of maybe the first Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, you're right. They always just jump into it.
By
the way, I can make ice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even think about like the last X-Men movie, Apocalypse. You got to see a little bit of like Cyclops' background when he's in the toilet and that kid's trying to get in there and he blows him up or whatever. Mm-hmm. But then you get into it and it's like, there's Jean Grey. She's already a freak and nobody likes her because she's too powerful and all these other things. And I think that's kind of where they missed the mark.
Right.
I don't think everything has to be an origin story and the fact that like Logan origin, right? Because that movie sucked. But I think you can go back and actually see normal people's reaction to these powers. And it's going to be a powerful thing. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be a great story to tell.
Yeah.
Because think about yourself. If all of a sudden tomorrow you had a power and let's say it was something where it was terrifying. You could set people on fire or you could, electrocute somebody. And it's not something you necessarily wanted, but it's something you all of a sudden had. Mm-hmm. And you've been brought up to be a human being that's normal and do all these other things. And all of a sudden you have this power within you to do these things. So those same people that you loved and you were, raised with and you understood your emotions with, you went through your life with, are no longer like you.
Right.
That's something that I think from a story standpoint would be wonderful.
That was one of my favorite aspects that made Smallville so great. Now, obviously, not all of Smallville is great. There were tons of episodes that were crap. You can't make 22 episodes on that kind of budget every year and have them be great.
Yeah.
Even the actors will tell you, of course, a lot of them were junk, but there was a lot of great ones, and to this day, it's still my favorite incarnation of Superman on the TV screen. But some of those episodes where you're watching Clark develop as a new power is surfacing as he's getting, mature, and how he has to deal with them were awesome. They were implemented so well, and having the audience, you're right, get to play the role of not just, okay, they have this power, now it's hard for them to fit in. How about while they're going through discovery, while they're going through, oh my God, how do I develop this? You're right, that is a big piece of the pie I think that they've missed, probably for time constraints, because if you did that with every single character in ensemble movies, then you don't have a time for plot for anything. But with the TV show, you're right, that could be a great aspect. I mean, a lot of the trailer focused on that. The girl's basically walking him through kind of what's going through her head when she's utilizing her powers and how he can do the same thing. Yeah. This looks fantastic, and every time I feel like I'm getting close to that saturation point, then you watch something, you're like, "Oh God, though."
Well, this is original, though. I mean, this is them taking Fantastic Four and trying to put it back together again.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, take the subject and make it original, like Push.
Yeah, that was good.
Movie Push. Movie Push was fantastic.
It must not have done well. It didn't get a sequel though.
No, it was a cult movie in a way. I don't think it had that great, marketing campaign and stuff behind it, but it was a fantastic movie. Mm-hmm. It explained to you what things were, why things were, but it also showed you how they developed their powers.
Yeah.
I mean, that part of it, that growth part of it is something that a TV series could definitely capture. More so than a movie. Mm-hmm. Yeah, more. But I think it's one of the things that DC is missing from their movie universe too.
When do you think that? Because we don't have any confirmation to my knowledge about when this does take place in the timeline. But hearing him say the line, "Well, we don't even know if the X-Men or the Brotherhood are even around." If this is Bryan Singer doing
anymore.
Say what?
They said we don't even know if they exist anymore. Yeah. I think is what they said. Mm-hmm. I think it is. See, I can't say first continuity, or I can't say the first class continuity because the Brotherhood technically hasn't even been created.
Well, didn't they technically kind of realign so they're basically pretty close to each other? I mean,
well, if you're talking about the X-Men and the Brotherhood, That's the first continuity. So that's 1 through 3.
But that's what I mean is, didn't they actually still have both of those? They might just have happened slightly different. Because remember at the end of Days of Future Past, after they changed the past, then they flash forward to where Logan is back into his body in the not too distant future, and everything's kind of back to the same way. So there might have been some variations, but still, they're basically still X-Men in the school. Still, Magneto is doing his Brotherhood thing. I mean, I think they kind of hint at that. Some things might be different.
No, but they didn't introduce the idea of the Brotherhood, because then when you go back to Days of Future Past and you follow that continuity, you had Mystique still kind of that rogue character.
Oh, you're right.
But then Magneto
went out and had a family. Yet. You're right.
Yeah. So by the end of that, I mean, you got to think about who the 3 horsemen were, because it was Mystique, Magneto, and Archangel. So there's been no in that continuity. There is no Brotherhood.
Well, maybe there is, but it just hasn't happened yet. See what I'm saying? Because remember, in the original X-Men movies, they take
because
place...
that was in the 80s, right?
Right, exactly. So there still could have been the Brotherhood. I'm assuming they wouldn't just take away the Brotherhood. We just haven't seen it in the earlier ages of this new aligned continuity.
I think you're going to see it more in the alignment of the first continuity, where X-Men Last Stand existed.
Right. Well, because that was more
because
in the
there's
future
nothing
when they're
to take
old
from the other one.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But regardless of that, you know what would be cool, since I just watched Logan, is when they actually say Logan, like they don't say who it was, but spoilers if you haven't seen Logan, but by this point, come on, I got to be one of the last people who hasn't seen it. But when they're like, there was the incident at Westchester where like Charles like killed over 70 of the X-Men and a whole bunch of people got injured.
He pretty much killed all. I didn't catch that at first. I thought when he had his episode, he just killed random people. More hearkening back to the original Civil War comics in Marvel, where in that it was completely different. It wasn't an accident, but I thought it was one of those like mutant powers caused all these people to die.
Right.
I guess I didn't put 2 and 2 together in that moment to think that he was responsible for killing all the X-Men. And honestly, not to go into the Logan thing, but I think that was one of my disappointments, is that I didn't catch that aspect of it, because I wanted to know what happened to those other ones.
Right.
But yeah,
I mean, even
in a rewatch, I realized it.
Yeah. When that would be interesting if this took place like relatively shortly after that happened, because by the time we get to Logan in the movie, most of the mutants have been rounded up, which it sounds like is what they're doing.
Well, they've all been rounded up.
Yeah. Which it sounds like in this movie they're in process of doing that. And when they say, well, we don't even know if the X-Men or the Brotherhood is still around, that would make sense for if Charles killed most of them. and no one's heard of the X-Men for a while, even though the comic books that they made, I love that tie into Logan too. That was really cool. I don't know. That'd just be cool to see if they did it. Do they even need to technically? I think this could completely stand alone on its own thing, just like Legion did.
Yeah, I mean, I think, honestly, in the long run, I think they're going to be better off to stand alone, unless you're going to all of a sudden bring these people into the universe, the movie universe.
Right.
Making reference to it in the trailer. Hopefully that's it. You know, it's... This type of thing could take kind of that Walking Dead type of thing, where these people are traveling and trying to stay away and trying to stay away. And with that whole aspect, I mean... As long as they got some good writing and some good story behind it, I mean, I could see this 5 or 6 seasons. And that's all you really need for syndication, and you start making tons of money.
Yep. Yeah, well, I agree. I think it looks cool. I'm pumped to see this. I wasn't at first. Again, at first I have that feeling, that gut that's like, ugh, another one. And then you watch it and you're like, damn it, looks good.
You got me again.
But then again, you never know. I stopped watching The Flash, Arrow, even Supergirl months ago. I haven't seen them since. Maybe I'll catch up at some point, but I'm just like, there's just too much, you know?
Well, yeah. I mean, sometimes, I mean, you start watching those shows and you just lose interest because the story just goes in a direction you don't want.
Yeah. And it's weird because The Flash is one of my favorites.
I stopped watching Walking Dead after season 6.
Yeah.
And I loved that show. Religiously watched that show. Read the comics. I haven't even seen Negan. Because I
don't even know who that is, because I've only watched 2 episodes of that show and I never got into it. So, If you want to hate on me,
might happen with Game of Thrones. Who knows?
You got to start
I can
watching.
let things go.
I already know.
Done.
I'm going to start getting the text messages from you from season 6, so you got to start watching that right away. There's a lot of people that I've been getting messages from that can't wait to see your reaction to 6. So I know your frustrations. Okay, I know.
Okay.
If
any of those people are still watching this, send requests to Ben as to what episodes you may want me to see. He can compile those together, see which ones are valid requests, because we can't do every episode.
Oh, for
Game of Thrones season 6.
Oh, for reactions.
But if there's 2 or 3 episodes, I will do a reaction to those episodes for you.
Yeah, there is. First one I think is going to be episode 2.
Episode 2. Mm-hmm. Hold on, let me get a fresh cue card.
Well, don't worry about it because this isn't anything in regards to that topic. So the people that watch that might not be watching this anyway. So.
Let's end this. Gifted looks great. I look forward to seeing it.
Yeah, and for those of you watching, let us know what you think.
Find a release date
about The Gifted. Do you think or hope that this is going to be in the actual X-Men movie universe? I think it'd be cool if they did, but I don't think they need to. But I don't know. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode number 24 of Fractured Focus, the show where we obsess about everything from geek culture to nerd news, along with random topics for discussion. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, and don't forget you can always check us out at youtube.com/fracturedfocus as we post a topic of the show each day of the week, usually Monday through Thursday, and attempt to entertain you with our semi-witty banter and our incessant rambling. Until next time.